A very good evening, everyone. And I'm Azam Hassan, your moderator for tonight's session. And I warmly welcome you all for the second workshop of the Project Meta Plus, organized by Entrepreneurship and Innovation Club of University of Colombo in collaboration with the Leo Club of Faculty of Science of University of Colombo. Project Meta Plus is a workshop series and a competition with 3 major workshops to give a broad knowledge about digital media marketing and to develop skills required for implementing marketing strategies while dealing with the challenges. So today, as it's the second day of the workshop series, we have one of the big problems that all these young entrepreneurs have, and they are seeking answers for. Let us clear your doubts about how to make a business plan. How to make a business plan. And we have the best, we have the greatest personality to give you the knowledge about how to make a business plan, which matters to this competitive business world. He's a well-known CIMA lecturer at Wisdom Business Academy, and he is the founder and the CEO of Transpire Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tuhan Sapumanage.
Hi, Hassan. Thank you very much for that amazing introduction. Can you hear me? Am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir. So
amazing.
Just so we are delighted to have you join us today. A quick reminder to our audience, there will be a Q&A session will be held at the end of the session. And please feel free to drop your question to the chat box. This session will be streamed live on FOSS Media FB page, Colombo's Beacon FB page, Entrepreneurship and Innovation Club's Facebook page, and also on the Leo Club, University of Colombo Faculty of Science YouTube channel as well. Now I would like to cordially invite our guest speaker, Mr. Tuhan Sapumanage, to continue the session.
All right, thank you, Hassan. And to be very honest, I was kind of feeling sleepy today. I had a lecture in the morning and a bunch of work. And your voice, my friend, is like, I don't know, how do you call it? It's pretty energetic. And if any one of you are feeling sleepy, I'm pretty sure you were awakened as well. So a big round of applause to our moderator today. Hassan, amazing introduction, amazing job, and job well done.
Thank you
I know you can't clap here. So representing everyone, a big round of applause, Hassan, for that amazing introduction.
Thank you very much.
Yep. So with that being said, I'm being told that this is, I think, the second day. Okay, some of you are giving the applauding emoji. Nice. So I've been told that this is the second day of your workshop, I believe. And first one you had, I think, with Mr. Shawn Moses, one of my very good friends, an amazing friend, the best person probably again to talk about social media marketing. So how was that lecture, by the way? Just have a quick small talk and get started with our session so that we can have a two-way dialogue and you all are comfortable in your own space uh, to speak, at least in the Zoom chat, if not even unmute and speak. I'm cool with that. So how was your last session with Shawn? Do you guys learn something out of it? Was it fun? Was he nice? Did he comb his hair well? How was it? How was your session with Shawn? You can drop me in the chat box, so unmute your mic and have a two-way dialogue, just to break the ice and get started with the conversation today. Yes? It was good. Okay. Any other comments? I'm getting one from index number, MP dash index numbers. It was good, he or she said. And that's nice to hear. So I hope I'll also able to live up to the expectations and value to you and get and hope that you're also able to get something out of this session for sacrificing or investing your Saturday for this lecture or workshop. So I will start quickly on how to create a business plan. But really, business plan is, creating a business plan is very important, no doubt, because without a plan, you're doing a business. Doing a business is risky, and doing it without a plan is just beyond risky. So, anarchy, to be very honest, if I use the word. And so doing a business plan is very important, but there are a few other prerequisites that you could look into, mainly on evaluating a business idea. So let's spend some quality time on evaluating the business idea, then move into the business plan, and then talk about financials, which you will see in the session outline today. But so our goal today is to not really cover everything under the sun and moon about those three areas, but lay a solid foundation. Give me a second. Lay a solid foundation and learn a few keywords for you to know, okay, there is this some concept called, say, business plan for a lean startup. And these are a few keywords that I can get started. So you can do your own reading and build on top of that. Now, if you look at, say, financial, the KPIs for the financials in these things that we'll discuss at the end of the session, that is an entire module sometimes in some lectures, some degree batches, 20 credit modules. So it's not possible for me to cover everything under sun and moon, but I assure you, I'll give you a solid foundation that you need to get started based on what I have learned in theory, based on what I have learned in experiences, based on real world experiences, and countless hours of YouTube videos and books. I assure you, really, that is one amazing source. Just a quick shout out to YouTube and books. That is an amazing source that you can self-learn. And I think that is one of the best ways for you to self-learn as well. So what I'll do is I will quickly share a Mentimeter link with you right now for me to get a pulse of the audience and understand which areas that you have already, majoring in your degree, so that I could take more examples from that areas and take less examples from the areas that the audience does not comprise of. So let me quickly share a Mentimeter link here, and then we could get started with our PPT back again. So just go to that link and type in your majors. If you're studying computer science or applied sciences, physics, or statistics, whatever you do, just enter it there so I know what you guys are doing, so that I could we could have a more informed two-way conversation in that way. Go to the link and just type in what you do. Getting one response, computer science. Okay. Others, you all are awake, right? Okay, we are getting data science, physical science, SLIT. Okay. I didn't know SLIT was a majors in the US. Okay, but okay. as in SLIT is an institute, it's not a degree major. So we're getting statistics, information systems, data science, physical science, mathematics, UOC, again, university, okay, fun. Chemistry, okay, physical sciences. So mostly software engineering, okay. So mostly you guys, this is what I got. So software engineering, physical sciences, data science, a big computer science. So I guess few of you are doing that. Then statistics, information systems, chemistry. So mostly science related areas. Sure. So in that sense, I don't think unless you have done a qualification like CIMA in your part-time studies, you may not have had a solid foundation for business areas, but that shouldn't be a problem. My example, the company that I applied to understand these examples was Facebook, the Meta. So that shouldn't be a problem. And let's get started. And thanks for taking the Mentimeter link and sending in your suggestions. Give me a second. So today's outline. First, let's evaluate if you should start a business. And I don't mean to offend anyone or to be mean, but to be very honest, not everyone, at least at this stage, should start a business. I mean, there are some set of qualities that you can look into, which we will look in next 2-3 slides. So let's first look at if you are ready to start a business, and if not, what you need to do. I mean, say you might want to take a qualification if you want to do something into artificial intelligence, and if you don't have any background in that, maybe you might want to take a course. Or say you want to move into something like supply chain where it's very contact heavy, then you might want to get some experience moving to a company. So let's look at a few things if you are ready right now to start a business, because you don't want to risk your amazing idea by taking a leap of faith and failing. But at the same time, of course, taking a leap of faith is very important. But let's look at if you are ready right now, and also evaluate the business idea itself. And we'll look in the next slide why we want to evaluate based on the reasons why startups fail. Because as much as it's important to understand what we do right, at the same time, I think it's also more important to learn from the mistakes of others. And then let's look at the core area today, business plan. That is, if you're ready to start a business and if your business idea, you think it is viable, then we can make a business plan. And also let's look at what we call a pitch deck that comes in the startup world. Now, business plans was sort of a thing in the past, but for us to have a solid foundation to start and discuss, let's have that. But it's sort of a thing in the past. So let's look at the newer version of what we call a pitch deck and how it connects into the big picture. And then let's finish the presentation with finance. How you can get funding, what are different very important KPIs that you need to keep track of, and in general, how you can handle finances in your organization. Like I said, different researchers will obviously give different results, and I'm pretty sure that is something that you would know as a university student in UOC Faculty of Science. And however, what you can see is that no market need here and here both is one of the very important, or one of the very salient, one of the very common reason why startups fail. Because see, you feel like, okay, I have this problem, and you also think, okay, you are creative, you are smart, you have done local A-levels and you feel confident about yourself. So you think, okay, let's do business on this. But what you don't understand is that maybe you are the only one who is facing that issue, or maybe you only have a smaller market who has that same issue, so you can't scale profitably to cater that market. Now, if you take, say, the very MacBook that I'm using right now, that's not an Apple commercial, but there is this issue with the 2016, 2017 MacBooks that the screen could break due to a design issue, and there is ongoing lawsuit in France, a class action lawsuit. So, okay, you might feel, okay, now the actual replacement cost of the original device is, say, 150,000. Let's make a replica device and give it a low cost and actually tell people it's a replica. But the question is, are there enough people who's willing to buy your product? So you need to get manufactured, you need to make the device, you need to start shipping it, all that. Can you do it profitably? So understanding the market need is very important, and that is why the evaluation aspect comes for your business idea. And you as an individual, what you need to see that is, now, in today's world, we see Elon Musk being a $300 billion rich, Jeff Bezos going to space, Richard Branson going to space, all that. And even local people, I'm not very sure if we have influencer level startup CEOs in Sri Lanka, but local people. And it's pretty classy, right? You get the founder / CEO title, like that you read out, Hassan read out. And read out, and you can say investor, Bitcoin, pretty much something like this, right? Cryptocurrency enthusiast, all that. So if you want to start a business because it's cool, then don't. Because starting a business is something like sort of like suicide, to be very honest. And it is, I mean, if I can use the word, it is hell. You get to work 100 hours a week and without any guarantee. Now, if you work for a company 100 hours a week, you are guaranteed to most likely get a promotion, provided you are good at what you do. But here it's not the case. I mean, something like COVID-19 come and could destroy all your efforts that you had put into number of years. So being an entrepreneur is hard, but at the same time, it's a high reward gain as well. I mean, you can probably never you can be a say billionaire being an employee, but as an entrepreneur, like you show with Canva, Melanie Perkins became 7.4 billion rich with Canva's latest valuation. So that is a way to get rich, but it's not for everyone. And don't just do it for flashy titles like this. Do it because you really want it. And these are some of the good reasons that that were discussed in the industry as good reasons that you could start a business for. And I in no way discourage you to start a business, because even if you start a business and fail, in 2 years, what you learn there could be way more advanced than what you could have learned doing a job. So I don't discourage you doing that, but what I'm telling you is take a decisive decision if it is the right path for you. And what they say, so you need about 40 to 70%, 30 to 70% information to make a decision. So after you have 70% decision and confident that, okay, I can do this, then take the leap of faith, but don't just do it because it's cool. And really, you will hate yourself. Maybe not now because you can post on Instagram and all that, but in 20 years time, when all your friends are doing job and they are doing some senior manager position, and you just having the cool title won't pay your bills. So know that as well, and giving you a bit of a reality check, because moving into a business, I mean, I could have just come and talked about a business plan, which is just pretty much theory. But I think it's also my duty as a citizen to give you the real picture, and also at the same time motivate you to take the risk if you are someone who is genuinely excited to do what you do as in your business. So that being said, I hope I didn't demotivate anyone. And what I'm telling is that, take a reality check. But at the same time, my faith as well has actually good CEO. So 0.01% of probability. And that is what we all are doing all of it for. So know that statistic. Don't do it because it's cool. Do it because you actually genuinely love what you do and you believe in what you do. And now if you do have that passion, let's try to put it into a structure, into a way that can actually work in a real world business. So a quick introduction about me. I'm Tuhan Sapumanage. I graduated with a first class in Crowdfunding University, UK, with a STEM BSc in computing, and I did CIMA, and currently I'm in the final year of my LLB, and also won the CIMA Student of the Year Award, the global one, in 2020. So it is last year. What I do right now, I'm a founder and the CEO of Transpire Lanka. We are having 2 wings, one into social enterprise, which you can see on the website, and another R&D component that is into AI, which is not in the website, but will soon come out with the cap raise. And I'm also a CIMA lecturer at the Wisdom Business Academy for the E1 level. If you are a CIMA student, for that is the 2nd level. And also in the team with our lead lecturer for the strategic case study. And I'm also, you might have seen me on TV, if you have PO TV. Right after you turn on TV, they have this SLT watch, I think, channel number 0. So you might see the advertisements on that. which I'm a part of a CV program called Seethala, that is focused on solving problems in real world, from transportation to taxation to R&D to all that. And I'm a recurring TV personality there. And I'm also researching machine learning, since you all do have a science background. So my research finally was on getting the magnitude of the lightning impulses and predicting if we can disconnect from the main grid to protect electronic devices. If you didn't get it, that's all cool. But I'm also researching into different few other AI aspects under Transpire as well currently. A few awards: I won the CIMA Global Student of the Award in 2020, Global First, Gold Medal awardee for Best Performance, and admitted to the Dean's List in the university, and a few bunch of things. But I hope these credentials are important enough for us to get started, and you have to faith that I know what I'm talking about. So we are getting into the real deal. And are you all ready? So I wish I could get a resounding yes right now from the audience, but since that is not possible, let's continue. Let's start with the first question. Are you, as an individual, ready to start a business? Now, I'm pretty sure all the entrepreneurs, even the cool ones like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, all that, would have had this question. And based on what I have understood by associating close to this, if you are, this is the list that you should confine yourself to. You can get no to all this and still start a business and be successful, or you can get yes to all this and still start a business and be not so successful. But this is a good criteria for you to take a pulse on the real world. So first question, do you have the expertise needed to do what you're doing? Say you are into something very specialized, say something into AI. Do you have the expertise needed to run that AI business? Because some people think, okay, I have a business degree. I want to do this app. Let's hire someone to do the application. That is the worst way that you can go about a business. So if you're doing software business, at least do someone in your team has the expertise needed to do something. So expertise and experience. Do you have enough experience having done that thing over and over again for you to be confident? Okay, so you have learned AI has 6 different branches, into robotics to IoT to deep learning, neural networks. But do you have enough experience in doing that thing over and over for you to be successful when applying the real world? Because knowing something is very different from actually applying it in the real world. And do you have enough experience to actually apply it in a business? Thirdly, what is your financial situation? Now, not every one of us are born to kids of millionaires. So some of us might not have the financial cushion needed to take that business risk. And that is one way unfortunate. But at the same time, what is in our control is, okay, then maybe you do a high paying job for a few years, say 5 years, I don't know, depending on your financial situation, and you use that fund, invest it properly, and then you start a business. So in that way, you will not only start a business, but be financially secure, make contacts and all that. So what is your financial situation is an important aspect that will play a role in if you are deciding if you should start a business right now or not. And I mean, you can complain about the government to South Asia to all that, but in reality, what is in our control is to take a pulse check and understand, okay, this is my financial situation right now. This is how much time I will need to take this business up and going. And I do or I do not have the cash needed to keep going. So let me take this direction first, work as a side project, and then start a business when I'm ready. And there are enough people who have done that. For example, Dulit Herath Kaprugu, he has worked at Microsoft, and while doing that, he developed his website. So taking a job until your business is up and running is in no way something that you should discount, and is probably a good idea as well, so that even should things fail, you have a backup plan. And fourth thing, do you have the different qualities needed? So we'll look into that at the end of the lecture or the workshop. What are some different qualities that you can have? But in overall, are you self-reliant? Do you take the self-initiative? Do you want someone to come and tell you what you need to do? Are you okay with depending on yourself to get your paycheck? All that are some important qualities that will help you that will help you to understand if you are ready to take the leap of faith or not. But at the same time, they are understandable and learnable skills. So just because you don't have to say courage to take your self-initiative right now, doesn't mean that you can't do it in the future. And lastly, do you have the networks and contacts? Now, if you're doing a software business, maybe not very important, but if you're doing into something that is very supply chain heavy, you must have contacts and the network needed to get it up and running. So do you have enough contacts? Do you know enough people? And how well do you know those people also will play a role when it comes to business? The famous saying, right? It is business is built upon relationships and faith, something like that. So human touch is important. And do you have enough of that human capital, relationship capital with you to get started? And last two, do you have a backup plan should things fail? Now, making no this and for backup plan is would take you energy out of something, which is not the case. If you don't have a backup plan, that is like jumping out without the parachute, thinking someone will doesn't work 19 without having a backup plan. And I learned my lesson. Have I talked about it? I think I talked about it in one of the episodes in Sita. So have a backup plan. It's no way discounting your vision. It's just that should things fail, maybe not your fault even, but say COVID came, what is your backup plan to keep living? Because having just plan A is not very prudent. What Warren Buffett says, it's only a fool who would test the depth of the water with both feet in. So be very careful, but at the same time also have a backup plan. Should things fail, what will you do? And lastly, the X factor. Now, if Elon Musk starts selling whatever he wants, it will get sold. I mean, if he starts selling pens, it would get sold out right after he list that. So the X factor is also playing a role. And what I have realized and what I have seen, both experiences of mine and other people, is that when you start, the X factor keep improving. So like, luck, right? Luck is where opportunity meets talent, opportunity meets preparation meets opportunity. So X factor is sort of thing that you can build, I think, with time. And it's not something like magical coming from astrology, which I don't know to comment of, but I also think that based on past experiences, have things been going right for you in the past? If not, why it went wrong? And what can you do to improve? And if it is something in your control, maybe you can take corrective measures now and be a successful entrepreneur in the future. And now let's get into so that's a bit of a reality check, because I really didn't want you to come up with the bubble. Okay, when you go to entrepreneurship event, if you had gone into, they would come and tell, okay, you can get a private jet with worth about, say, Gulfstream G650, worth $60 million being an entrepreneur. No Sri Lankan has one. Then they come and tell, okay, you can get a helicopter, say Airbus H125. Yeah, H125 worth $1 million. But not many Sri Lankans has one. So I didn't want to bring that bubble, and I really wanted to give you a reality check. No, I mean, it in no way mean that you can't do it, but at the same time also do take a reality check and see if you're ready right now. If not, have a proper plan to be ready in the future, so that you can avoid making costly mistakes by just running into a brick wall. Yep, with that, let's get started with the real stuff, the evaluation of your business idea, business plan, and then the finances as planned. For our people in the Zoom chat, are we all clear up to so far? And can we get started in the criteria? Can we get started with the criteria to look at, to evaluate your business idea? And also, do you want me to slow down? And English is not our first language for, I don't think, any one of us. So in case, do you want me to slow down? First question. And second question, are we clear so far? And can we move into looking into the criteria of evaluating the business idea? Yes, Zoom chat is yours. You can direct message me, unmute, whatever you want. Are we all clear so far? And do you want me to slow down? Keep going. Okay. Others, can I get some feedback? Yes, it is clear. Yes, sir, all clear. Okay, Sanduni and MP 130. Others, what do you think? Okay. I'm pretty sure some of you in the audience are thinking, I was all motivated, especially with Hassan's that very energetic introduction. And this dude came and said, you shouldn't start a business. That is not what I said. And just want to genuinely help you to avoid doing costly mistakes. And based on what everyone replied in the Zoom chat, I hope it was received as intended. So let's now look at the criteria of evaluating the business idea. Firstly, let me list down the criteria for you, and then let's take one by one and discuss them in more detail. So firstly, the business idea itself, does it solve something? Just because you wanted to come up with something fancy doesn't mean it is important. Unique doesn't mean unique doesn't mean valuable. So does it solve something? Is it unique? Is it something that others can easily copy, or is it something that is unique to you? Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg just got to hear the idea from Winklevoss twins and he copied it, whereas Google had been in here ever since I think 1998, 23 years, and no one has been able to make a search engine just as good. So is it unique or something that anyone can copy? And if it is unique, can it compete? And what are other alternatives? Now you might have say a tablet computer that is the best in the market, but that may also can be done with a computer or a mobile phone. So what are the alternatives? And does it lead a positive outcome for the society? Now the world is becoming increasingly, what can I say, self-aware, increasingly conscious about the net benefit to the society, and the businesses that yield a net negative may no longer survive. And I mean, in a very broadly speaking, like big institutional investors like Larry Fink from BlackRock, they want companies to be very environmentally friendly. So what is the positive outcome? Could be a key question, maybe not right now, but when the Gen Z comes, your business, even if you do the best product, might not survive if it does not yield a positive outcome. Is it feasible? Now you might have the best idea. Okay, I want to go colonize Mars and bring food to people who are here, who doesn't have food. But is it feasible? Is it technically feasible? Is it something that can be done? Is it financially feasible? Very important. A lot of people who are into marketing, no offense, thinks that just because you can do marketing, you can you can sell products. That is not the case. You need to know the numbers. So is it financially feasible? And is it operationally feasible? You might be, okay, you can technically do it, you can financially do it, but more than both of that, it is the execution that matters. I mean, if you had read any literature on social startups, you might have realized it's the execution that matters. And is it operationally feasible? And is it also legally feasible? Say cryptocurrencies in China, you can't do it. You can have the best blockchain in the world that can top, what is the blockchain in the best blockchain in the world now? Probably, and it's hard to say, probably ADA with scalability. I don't know, it's complicated. So blockchain, but you can't do it in China. So is it legal? And other sort of feasibility that are very specific to the industry, but these four are things that you will apply to whichever the business that you are in. And who are the stakeholders? Now, who's a stakeholder? Anyone who has power and interest in your organization, the textbook definition, which would be your core team, your set of people in your team, which we'll look into more detail. Your suppliers. I mean, if you are doing supply chain business into, say, selling soap, and you don't have enough suppliers to give you the raw material, your business will fail. So do you have enough suppliers? I mean, if you look into the US context right now, electronic devices, due to the chip shortage, people can't produce the stuff needed. Now, Tesla had to take the Lambda support module out of the car because they don't have chips to fix that. So will your suppliers be able to supply the things needed? And who are your customers and who are your competitors, which we'll again look into in more detail. And most importantly, in today's gig economy, who are your partners? Because right now, more than the customers and all that, what plays a very important role is partners. And who are the partners that you can partner with for mutually beneficial relationships to improve your business's success. And is it future proof? Just because it does in 2010 doesn't mean it will do in 2021. You have a lot of examples, from Blockbuster being knocked off by Netflix to iPhone knocking off Nokia. I think it's pronounced Nokia, my bad. So is it future proof? Is it, which means that is it scalable? Can it scale now? Say you wanted to do a boutique shop in your area that sells the best organic made bakery items. I don't know, can you make bakery items organically? If so, that. But can you scale that? Can you scale that out of your countries, out of your city? You might be the one who's making, and who's going to do it in other place? So is it scalable? And like we said, can it sustain with tech, like the two examples that we mentioned, like Blockbuster or iPhone or Nokia? So let's look into them in more detail right now. First thing, evaluate the business idea. So to illustrate this and to get a bit of feeling about what we are talking about, let's think about this fictitious company, bus booking application. Very famous, probably you might have done the software. People who mentioned that you had done software engineering, this application for data structures and algorithms, even just basic OOP. So let's take this example, a bus booking. Don't buy, keep it for me. So first criteria, does your business idea solve something? And what does it mean is that, now you might think, okay, you wanted to get a bus, book a bus application, book a bus ticket, and you couldn't do it. And when you went to the bus stand, when you went to the bus stand, it is full. So you decided, you know what, let's do a bus application. But are you the only one who's having that problem? And how you would know that? You need to ask people. That's simple. What you call is market survey. And you actually go and ask people, get a market validation as to how your product will solve something. When Dropbox first came, they did this MVP video where they would release the video to people and see if they sign up, and if it means that there is a market need. So similarly, get your idea validated before you enter into any of the things, business plans, finances, any of that. Get your idea validated. Now you might have the question, okay, what if someone copies my idea? Most likely it will not be, like you can see in Google example. But if it is something that can be easily copied that easily, probably it will be copied anyway when you go into the market. So there is no point of protecting ideas that way. And usually it's not the ideas that add value, it is the execution. Say you want to do a bus application, but you want to do it in a new way. And someone else, okay, might know, okay, say Hassan is doing a bus application, but you are the one who knows the execution key of it. Say you have contacts with bus people, bus owners. So that is the key there. So even if someone can copy the idea, they can't do it just as good as you can do. So get your idea validated. And that is the most, I can't stress this enough, important aspect of starting a business. And you can do it different ways. You can either talk to 100,000 people, or you can talk to 10 veterans who are good with the industry. So that's up to you, but get your ideas validated. Secondly, now, do you think this bus application is unique? Most likely no, right? I mean, there are so many computers. Even the Sri Lankan SLTB, I think, has an application. So it's nothing unique. Anyone can do it. And there's a lot of computers who exist in the space. But can you compete? Because both Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive and Dropbox exist, and AWS, Azure, and GCP exist. So can you compete in the bus booking space? So that is a question for you, just to break the monotony and think what get the pulse of the audience. Do you think that a bus application done by you, do you think it can compete, it can't compete, or maybe it can compete? And guys, for the record, there aren't any right or wrong answers. If you can justify your wrong answer, still you could be right, and investors love that. So just let me know your answer, and really no one's judging, and we probably won't even meet again. So who cares if you get it wrong? So yes, guys, what do you think? Can a bus application compete? It can't complete, or it can maybe complete? Yes. As entrepreneurs, guys, you won't get second chances. Now, if you go to a proper conference with entrepreneurs, by the time you think the answer, someone has already given the answer. If you want to be an entrepreneur, this is a good practice. Improve your courage to give answers, and that would really set you apart from the competition as an entrepreneur and as a CEO. So I'm getting one answer, MP166. I have no idea what that means, but he or she says maybe. What about others? Do you think they can compete or they can't? Guys, come on. I can't even see you. If we try, we can. See, growth mindset. Well done. If we try, we can. Good answers. Others, what do you think? Do you think it can compete or it can't compete? Maybe compete, okay. So when I ask school students this same question, of course, in different PPT format, they either give yes or no answers. So you guys are reflecting the university spirit of the university spirit, the maturity level of university students. That is great to see. And the answer is, it could be anything really, but maybe it can, because say you focus on a niche market, say you wanted to partner up with Sri Lankan Airlines, and when they book the plane ticket, UL ticket, by the time they come to Sri Lanka, you can they can get your bus application to go roam around the city. So something unique, some niche market like Apple and Huawei, they cater to very different markets. Similarly, you may be able to compete, and there aren't any again wrong or right or wrong answers. And for you to give a conclusive answer, you will have to do a research. But just getting, just want to break the ice and see how you guys think. And are there any alternatives? So this is the easier question. What do you think? Are there any alternatives to a bus application, or buses in general, or bus is the only way you can go? This is an easy one. What do you think? Do you think, are there any alternatives to this application, or this is the only one that can compete in the market? Yeah, right. They are getting a few guesses, so that is good to see. All direct messages, but that's good to see. There are so many, right? You can go trains, taxi holding, or you can just walk even. So there are so many options you have. And does it yield a positive outcome? Probably it does, because it saves time. So it's better efficient use of resources, and you could better for the environment, better with the time saved. If you're using the time you saved productively, so it probably gives a positive outcome. And there aren't any like negative outcomes you can bring off. I mean, you can say, okay, you're using in the bus industry and that is causing fossil fuel, burning fossil fuel, but that would anyway be there even if you use the application or not. So what you're doing here, efficient use of resources, probably does make the lives easier and probably is a positive outcome. Let's move into the next heading. And guys, if you do have a question, stop me anytime and ask right now. Even I kind of prefer to get the question then and there and answer than waiting for the Q&A. But up to you again. So talk about feasibility. Do you think it's technically feasible? Yes, you can do a website from 20,000 to 150,000 K software. And so there are a few software engineers in the audience, I think. I saw from the Mentimeter. So, you can do from 20, I mean, even 5,000 rupees, you can do a website. And if you get a student, but of course, quality is different, obviously. But from 20K to 150K to even 300K, you can do a website application. But the question is, okay, but how we are going to do the bus side application? Because you can't expect the bus driver to have an iPad and see these buses are, these seats are booked. And even if you could, how the passengers know that this seat is booked? Because you bus driver can't wait and see, tell every person, no, this is booked, this is not. So how you're going to tell that? That is a question that probably could be having a technical issue, because you can't practically fix an iPad in every bus headrest. Is it financially feasible? So let me quickly get an Excel and show you a very basic way how you can do a break-even analysis. And this is just done because all of you had answered the Mentimeter had a STEM background, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics background. So this is just done to show you how it looks like, and a very basic break-even analysis just to show that one of your friends answered, okay, if we try, we can do that, Kela. So which is not the case. So when it comes to numbers, it is very brutal. I just want to show you this now, just to show that how it works as a break-even analysis. But then again, this is like the most basic type of analysis that you can do. So what I'm trying to show you is if it's financially feasible or not. And this is a break-even analysis, which means that how many passengers do you need to be using your application for you to not make a loss? So sorry, and hopefully not COVID, I didn't go out. So bus ticket from Colombo to Kandy, I took 210, probably a bit higher now. Development cost I took as 80,000 to a application that wouldn't crash. And hosting you can do with 10K AWS, and say you get a 5% commission out of the ticket and you want it to recover in 3 years. So you will need about 191 users using your application daily for you to not make a loss. And for you to actually recover your investment in 3 years, you will need 202 users to be using your application. So this is a very abstract concept, and this doesn't consider other recurring expenses that you will have to pay people, to pay the bus drivers and all that. What I want to show you is that just because you can have the best social media campaign, just because you have the best TV advertisement, even that is not the case. And always do the numbers and see if the numbers add up, because there are so many companies that fail in real world because they didn't do the numbers. And like you saw, if you saw the initial reasons why companies were running out of cash, that is the reason. They think that, okay, we have clients, we have people know about us, but when you do the numbers, you realize that it can't sustain. So similarly, do the numbers, and this is a very basic break-even analysis that I wanted to show you, that things like this exist in case that you didn't know, but probably you might have done commerce in school or a qualification like CIMA, and you might know this. But I just want to show that numbers are important, and you can't lie the numbers, and companies will go bankrupt if you can't do the numbers, right? And one of the recent examples was Evergrande in China, the huge real estate empire. I don't know, they say that they're having a comeback, but if numbers don't add up, your company can fail. So be mindful about the numbers, and numbers are often very brutal. So just want to show that is it financially feasible, but there are other methods that you can do that with NPV to different other valuation techniques. You can understand if it's financially feasible, but just wanted to show you this right now. So when you're doing your own research, you can take into account the financial aspect as well. So operationally, is it feasible? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you just need someone to overlook the operation. It's not very operations heavy like Uber. So you just put the application, it works. So nothing much to worry about. And you don't need DevOps engineers to look at a bus application. So it should be okay. And legally, as far as I know, there aren't any severe restrictions about being a bus application. But the point here is not to show that if there are restrictions or not, but that you need to consider the legal aspect of it as well. So stakeholders, core team, ideally you need to have a CEO to run the business aspect of it, and a CTO to know the technical aspect of it. And hiring someone from outside to do your first application is a nightmare. And please don't do that if you love yourself. And also have someone who has experience in the transportation industry, so that they know, okay, these are the buses, these are the people that you need to talk about, these are the key stakeholders that you need to be on your side to do this transformation. So ideally, maybe an advisor, maybe an NED, maybe a partner who has some experience in the bus in the industry could help you. And suppliers, so there aren't any major suppliers, maybe devices, but there aren't any suppliers per se like would have done if you did the product business. product-oriented business, and customers would be your customers, your audience would be people who want to book a bus seat without going into the hassle of waiting and without basically doing it in a convenient way. And do you have enough customers like that in Sri Lanka? Well, I don't know. People work to just save 20 rupees, and that is the economic situation in Sri Lanka. So would people like to use an application? I don't know. That you need to do based on the market research. But you know that, I know that knowing your customer is very important. And who are your competitors? There are many. So what gives you an edge? Is it contacts that you have with the bus industry? Is it that you can do at a lower price? Is it a better use application? Because the applications that we have right now are just, I can't use those words in a public forum, but just bad. So if you can, is it the UI UX aspect of it? And your partners are a very important aspect, because you're very dependent. You won't have your own buses. So how can you make the lives of your bus drivers easy is a very important aspect that you cannot discount in an application like this, and especially in any business, especially software into tech startups. This would be the last aspect, future proof. City, you don't have GSM, you don't have a network, you don't have enough people with mobile penetrant to be able to, can it sustain? You can think sustain with tech, but of course you'll have to improve to integrate different other technologies like AI to do it automatically booked and so on, but it probably can sustain with tech. So with that, I covered some of the most important aspect of it, aspect of looking into evaluating a business idea. So in no way this is an exhaustive list, and there could be a lot that is coming specific to your industry. And me having a tech background, most of it was tech related, and most of the startups these days are tech related. So I hope these examples were useful. But just know that there is something called feasibility analysis, and that you need to do one before you evaluate, before you launch your business and evaluate your business idea. So are we all clear on that? And if we are, then we can move into discussing what a business plan is. All right, guys, are we all clear on what is, how you can evaluate a business idea? So this list I compiled based on what we look into competitors when we go into startup competitions, things that I did myself to evaluate my ideas, and things based on the conversations that I had with advisors and so on, and internet, YouTube, all that. Are we clear on, and I think this is a good point. I won't say starting point is probably a bit advanced, but just to be safe, a starting point for you to start your own evaluation. So are we all clear up to now? And can we move into what a business plan is? Yes, guys, what do you think? Can we move on? Are you all sleeping? Okay, we're getting a few yes clears. Okay, I'm guessing you said clear, Kayla. Okay, yes, I hope you did. Yes, Kayla, I hope you said it was clear and not, you mentioned that you were sleeping. But okay, so far sentiment is yes and good to go, and that is good to hear. So you have done your business evaluation, and now you are ready to do your business plan. Okay, so you have done analysis, you have not started your business yet. You think, okay, there is this, say, bus application. You think that there is a market need, people would love your application, you can do it better than everyone else. And now you are thinking, let's do a business plan, because planning to fail is failing to plan. No, wait, failing, my bad. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So that is why it's important to have a business plan. So why a business plan? One is that it gives internal roadmap to tell, okay, this is what we are doing, this is what our company stands for, this is why we are, where we are heading. And it's also mostly because it's a bit of entrepreneurial when you start at this stage. I mean, you would be having a lot of control. In reality, it's mostly needed for the funding needs and to get partners, so that you would have a structured format, maximum 5-page document with an overview about what your business is. But we have this new form called pitch deck that is actually used. We'll get into that. But what is a business plan? This is why you need a business plan for. And theory says that you have two types of business plans. One is traditional full-blown business plan that has every detail as much as possible. And second is what you call a lean startup business plan. And if you hadn't read the book and you are an entrepreneur and you want to start a business, please read the book, The Lean Startup. At least listen to an audio summary where it says that, you might not have a fuller picture, a complete picture about what you want to do with your business. So you have a lean business that has, sort of like the skeleton of what you want to do. So this lean startup is like a light version. So traditional business plan is like the pro version, and lean startup is like the light version of your business plan. However, remember that this is in no way means that you should stick to this. You can disregard this completely and go crazy and do it in a way that fits your needs. So the goal is here to lay a sort of principles, sort of framework, like UK Corporate Governance Code, if you get the reference. It is no way something that you need to adhere to. It is the goal is to cater your needs. So if you think that not doing it caters your needs better, please by all means do that. And this is just a framework mostly to trigger your thinking and help you know that this is something exists, because you wouldn't want to go to a business meeting and someone asks you, investor meeting, and someone asks you, where's your business plan? You wouldn't want to look up and down and say, what is that? So this is done to give you that introduction to what it is. And however, no matter how good your business plan, always remember you need to be agile. And I mean, COVID came, there could have been companies that wanted to do so many things, but COVID came and they had to stop and pivot. So always go with the build, measure, learn loop. Be agile. You can have business plans, but you should not be married to your plan. You should be married to your vision and find different ways that you could go to that vision. And always know that plan is something that can change. And if your plan doesn't change, probably that is something that has gone wrong, because things change and need to change with the way how things change. So moving on, actually looking into the crust of what a business plan is, few headings. Let's again list down what are the key areas and look into in more detail. Executive summary, pretty much something that you would have done countless times for your projects in university and even in school maybe. So executive summary, the summary that you would give, like 1-page summary, half a page summary about what is included there. And then we would move into talking about the company description and what the organization is, who manages it, basically the company's profile, pretty much what you would find in the first page of LinkedIn about section of a company. And then market analysis is very important. If you go to a meeting without a market analysis, you would be laughed out of the meeting. So market analysis, what customers feel, who are your customers at least, and then what is your product, what is your service. That shouldn't be hard to explain, but do it in an attractive way. So after an investor or a partner read it, they should feel passionate about it. So service to your product, and how you're going to meet your clients, how you're going to meet your customers, the marketing and sales aspect of it, and the funding request and projection. So this is, if you go to a investor, these two are not covered details, but let's look at these areas, because rest of the things are just like, we're doing this thing, would you like to pay us kind of a lead. And this is what you call the traditional plan. And in the lean startup model, you have the key partnerships. Once again, like I said, partners are very important. And who are your partners that you have in your business? What are the key resources? Your software, maybe your R&D expertise, maybe your patents, all that. What are your key resources? And what is your unique value proposition? What makes you unique compared to others, and why someone would want to go with your bus booking application, if I take that, instead of the SLTB's one. And how you're going to maintain customer relationships, because customer is the king, and how you're going to maintain that. And what are the channels to reach your customer? You have learned social media marketing, I believe, with Shawn Moses last week. That's one channel, but also there are other channels like referral to physical advertisement. So different channels that you could reach customers. And what is the cost structure? If you are a Shark Tank fan, and it's hard for me to imagine an entrepreneur in this stage who hasn't watched Shark Tank. So if you haven't, please go watch. They ask, right, brutally, how much you would spend to get it landed and what is the gross margin. So what is the cost structure that you would have in your organization, and revenue streams, how you're going to make money out of your products. And so this is the lean startup. This is very abstract and there's nothing much to talk in detail here. So I will leave it there, but let's discuss the traditional business model in more detail for you to trigger your thinking to improve your business plan. And let's apply it to Meta in spirit of the workshop and in spirit of new technology, and see how these headings Meta would have made the application should they do a business plan. I will continue. Hassan, for my information, so I asked Nipun and he said we have a 2-hour session. So we elapsed with 1 hour. We have one more, right?
It's totally fine. It's up to you to decide, Mr. Tuhan.
I like democracy though, okay.
Yeah, we are like, it's a democratic world, obviously.
Sure. So I was told it's a 2-hour session. I hope that is okay. If not, we can always watch the recording. So no hard feelings.
Mr. Tuhan, like if you have more, if you need more time, we can be flexible.
Perfect. So I planned for 1 hour and 45 minutes with a few minutes Q&A.
Okay,
should we need more, I will let you know, Hassan. Thanks. And
sure.
I appreciate the hospitality.
Thank you very much.
Sure. So moving on, by the way, so Hassan is one of the only moderators I saw who is actually with the device after you do the moderation. Usually people get full dressed at the beginning and at the end. And so, okay, kudos to you, Hassan, for always being ready to take the screen should things go wrong.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Sure. So executive summary, first heading here, I'm pretty sure you know what is an executive summary is, but let's move into the atomic aspects of what you will cover in an executive summary. First is, what is your product or service? Virtual reality, for me, it could have been a virtual reality application where users could interact with the computer generated environment and with other users. So I hope this example is not too much, given that this is your club or faculty of science. But in case you want to know what we are talking about the Facebook's new venture Metaverse, and which is a virtual reality application platform where you could play games and learn things and so on. Where Mark Zuckerberg came and, okay, too much. So did this, we talk about the Metaverse and how they would have made the business plan should they would want to pitch their product. And who are their customers? Now, for them, customer is the younger generation. And what research had said was 90% of the conversations about the Metaverse is done by Generation Z and the millennials, the cool generation, right? I think we all are either one of them, right? Either Gen Z or millennials. So customers are the millennials and Gen Z, but going forward, definitely Generation Alpha and Generation Beta will come into the picture. Future plans. So is it just going to be a fun place where you come and play games and talk about people? Or would they also want to go beyond entertainment and go into training, go into education, go into virtual meetings, virtual workplaces? So what are the future plans that they can come up with for Metaverse? And first aspect, this is what is suggested for you to be having in your executive summary by the US SBA, United States Small Business Administration, sort of like SME wing of US government to foster SMEs. So what they say is that, you know, in the suggested template, these were 3 headings that were there. And really you can just Google search and get this part. But the pitch deck part is the more cooler one. I'm just getting you here so that you would have a foundation to know what we are talking about. So let's move on. And but also know that this is what is just suggested and not a hard and fast rule for you, not a hard and fast framework that you must follow. Then in terms of company description, you would have vision and mission. So whatever that they have accordingly. Then key members, say Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and the board of directors, maybe person who is heading the Metaverse application itself. So the key members, very important, because when you're in the earlier stage, people don't invest in your company, people invest in you, and you need to market yourself and your key members well should you want to secure something in your investor deals, and even if you wanted to get other partners. Then what is the legal structure? So Facebook, it is a listed company under ticker sign MVRS. Your company may be a private limited company with one shareholder and one director maybe. That will be there. So legal structure in US, where this theory is made, they have a bunch of other applications that they can go with LLCs or S corporations or incorporated organizations. In Sri Lanka, also you do have a few options, private limited companies and corporated limited by CLG, corporates limited by guarantee. But legal structure is not very much important when you start, but when you want to scale and diversify into other areas, have a parent company, in all those cool late stuff, right? With Singapore Trust and I don't know if it's legal. So Singapore Trust and all that. So when it goes there, it might be important, but right now it might not be important. And a quick disclaimer, you should do, this is for your learning purposes only and not to encourage anyone market. And if you're booking application, you need to understand what your market is. And for Meta, it could be a relatively new first mover. There is no one else doing it except for I think Microsoft, which launched after Meta, and pretty much a blue ocean. What is a blue ocean? A market that no one else has tapped into, and you have the first mover advantage in, sort of like what Apple did when they launched the iPhone. And then you need to next have detailed custom insights. Now, earlier you said, okay, Gen Z and millennials, what are their buying power? What is the spending ability? What do they like? How much disposable income do they have? Which region are you catering? Now, Facebook, they can cater to the entire world, but you as a small company, not the case. So what is the demographics of the people who are in your region? Say you want to focus a software product to 1% of high net worth individuals in Sri Lanka. So you need to have the demographics, those detailed insights. So your investor or the partner could quickly read through and understand, okay, this is what we are catering to. I have contacts in these regions, and this is why we can work together and add value. So understanding that is important. So here we would cover the detailed customer insights about your market. And then a SWOT, pretty sure that you know what a SWOT is: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So Facebook could be strength, their men's Facebook user base, I think somewhere around 3 billion, if I'm not mistaken, at least with all platforms combined. Weakness could be bad reputation. There are so many ongoing lawsuits Facebook has about customer data. Opportunity could be new market. It could be others like Microsoft's moving into the market. For you, it could be someone else opening a boutique shop next to you. So depending on your case, but just applying it here for Meta, for you to understand what you mean by a SWOT. And competitive advantage for Meta, it could be having the entire ecosystem with Oculus Quest 2, that VR headset, to Facebook applications, to Facebook partners who can develop applications for their platform. But for you, it could be different. So what is your competitive advantage? Something we covered under your feasibility analysis, but at the same time, this is also important for a document when you are reaching to investors or partners. And regulation, again, something we covered under feasibility analysis, but say Meta, it could be Meta does this transactions using the cryptocurrency called decentralized with the ticker sign MANA, if I'm not mistaken. So is it legal? Would countries allow you to do cryptocurrency transactions? All that is important when you are doing the report. So you would not be defrauding your investor, and investor knows the risk profile of your investment when you give a true and fair view about your regulations. Okay, last few slides about about the conventional, traditional business plan. So what is the product offered, the virtual reality platform people could build on that you already discussed? What is the pricing structure? It could be freely offered for the people, but we run advertisements. Yeah, they run advertisements to monetize the application. What is the life cycle? Say they develop, they deploy, but they keep doing newer versions. Whereas if it's something like an iPhone, it could be R&D cycle. You do introduce, you go to growth, maturity, or decline. Or is it something like Google, right? Won't most likely decline. So is it you develop the first version, you deploy, it comes to maturity, but you keep releasing new versions. So your product, it could be different. And for IP, do you own the IP? Very important aspect. If you don't own the IP, you really can't do a software business. So do you own just the copyrights of your software, or do you own the entire patent for the blockchain system? As far as I know, no one owns the patent for the blockchain system. But what are the IP that you have? And if you had seen Shark Tank, you'd have seen, okay, this designer patent, this utility patent is important. And that is why some deals were made, because they have the patent. So IP, very important. Copyrights, patents, trademarks, and industrial designs in Sri Lanka are important. And if you are going into a business, maybe not at the very initial stage, but do consider getting the IP so people can't directly copy you should you have a really, really cool idea. And lastly, about this aspect, R&D, is it just a one-off R&D like you would have done for the iPhone first thing? I mean, if you release an iPhone 8, that is about it. But Facebook application, they keep doing research and development to come up with new ways to make it. Okay, that is hard to say. Come up with new ways to make it secure, or make it new ways to make the user agreement hard to understand. I don't know, it's hard to say, but they come up with new ways to keep doing things, and not just Facebook. And what are the different ways that you could do? What are the different research and development activities? Because when you look at a startup, in the beginning, it would eat a lot of cash, burn a lot of cash for R&D, and it is important that you have a clear understanding of what and how much cash you would need for the R&D activities. And then marketing, last bit, what is your growth strategy? How are you going to market? For me, it could be the network effect, because you have the Facebook, you have your friends, one joins, other joins. It could be the network effect. For you, it could be social media marketing, maybe direct selling. And how you're going to communicate your brand image to customers. Is it billboards? Is it Google I/O like events like Meta did? For Meta, what they did was blog posts and Google I/O like event where Mark Zuckerberg came and marketed the product. So similarly, what is your communication strategy also will be covered in the business plan. Now, another reality check. So this is a typical traditional business plan that you would have, but being very honest with you all, you wouldn't use a typical Word document like that anymore. You can, but I mean, you would be laughed out of the room in most of the time, especially if it's a very experienced VC, because you don't do those anymore. What you do right now is what you call a pitch deck, short, maximum 10 slide PowerPoint presentation, short of a design, where you would send to the investor. They will quickly read through the slide and then get back to you saying, do you like it or not? So I want to share the traditional business plan because, okay, so all the people who have the background about computers, we all learn about DOS programming before you move into DOS command, before you move into cool OOP device, old OOP programming, right? Or C programming before you move into OOP. So similarly, I wanted to cover the business program, so that business plan, traditional one, so that it would trigger your thinking to know what is included in the pitch deck. But now let's move into what you call a pitch deck, which is a bit more 21st century one, with a much more visually appealing way, not just a mundane Word document, but a cool way to present your business ideas. And if your lecturers are open to it, you could try that out in your projects as well. But that is up to you, and you know your lecturers better than I do. So weigh the pros and cons, and if you get a better chance, try that out as well. So let's move into the pitch deck idea now. A bit of extra thing, but are we all clear up to so far? And do you know why? And did you understand why we want to discuss what we call a pitch deck as well? apart from a traditional business plan. MP numbers, are we all cool? Yes, are we all cool? Are we clear so far? Is there any question that I could clarify for you? Or shall we move on? Yes, what is your market sentiment of our customers, our viewers today? Yes, I'm getting 2 yeses. Others, are we all clear up to now? Okay, we are getting a few yeses. I'm going to continue, and I hope it is the same for you all as well. So what is a pitch deck? Now, business plan is a Word document. You can download the copy in US SBA website. And I didn't want to like show it to you all that. It's just pretty basic, and you being able to do A-levels and come to Columbia University, or I mean, you being able to do A-levels and pass, you should be able to understand. It's just my niece can understand. It's just very basic. So let's look into what we call a pitch deck, which is a much more visually appealing format than a Word document. Let's take the famous Airbnb pitch deck first, break it down and understand what is in there, and I will show you the pitch deck. And then we can have a two-way communication if you have any questions on that. And then let's move into let's move into the last segment of our session, which is the financials. So it is going interestingly. Thank you very much, MP68. I wish I saw your name to give you a shout out, but MP68, thank you very much. Right back at you. So what Airbnb had was they started with the problem. What is the problem Airbnb had? People wanted to get places, but hotels were too expensive. And we as individual people did not have access to list our property and give it to someone else. And that is the problem. So what Airbnb did was they created a bed platform that would connect the hosts who want to host people and who want to make money off that, and the people who are looking for places to stay. Pretty simple, right? Problem, solution. And then they wanted to come up with the market validation, the one that I was stressing so far. Market segment, market validation, what the customers felt. And by using the products of their competitors and what they got as a response, they showed that there is an actually market need that they're trying to cater. Because without trying to have a market need that you're trying to cater, there is pretty much no point of doing it because there's no one who would buy it. So market need validation is very important. And guys, please do yourself a favor and don't go to a reliable investor or a third-party partner. Your mentor, maybe they will help you, but if you go to a third-party partner or an investor who is focused on money and you go without market validation, you will be, and I don't know in the Sri Lankan culture, because it is not ones are feeding and that there is a need, and without that people wouldn't take you seriously, as evidently seen in countless number of Shark Tank episodes that I could like literally tell the names of people. So no of the companies. So have a market validation. What about your product, and if your product actually caters a need or not. Then the market size. Now you have 7.5 billion people. Now I think 7.7 billion people on Earth, but you can't cater all of them. No one can. Maybe Coca-Cola can. They're everywhere. So we have the total market. We show what is the market that you can actually capture, and it is the actual market that you can you're targeting at. TAM, SAM, and SOM, total accessible market, and two other acronyms. You can Google that. So what is the market size that you're trying to capture? By the size of the market that you're trying to address when you want to do that. I was in this competition in the organizing team, and there was this set of students who came up with the product that they wanted to sell wanted a 300 million rupee investment to create a healthy paint that would be sold to young couples who's recently got pregnant because, wife got pregnant, not the couple, but with the paint so that it won't be toxic for the baby. What is the accessible market in Sri Lanka who can afford a luxury paint to in that market is questionable, and they were pretty much a joke. I mean, in case you know the people, it's not nice to joke, but they knew it. I mean, they were furious about it as well. So know your market size as well as just as important as knowing the market size. Do you have a market size big enough to cater profitably? Very important aspect. And I hope I didn't sound mean when I mentioned that, but it's always good to know that fact so that you are going into the meetings to meet an investor if you are with all your weapons ready, your gun, your hand knife, your service weapon, all that when you're walking into the meeting. So market validation and market size, very important if you want to be taken seriously. Then comes the product. This is show your product in a very visually appealing way so that people see, oh my God, this is just amazing. Okay, I'm just using the OMG acronym. So OMG, this is just amazing. So you need to look at the product and feel like that if you really want to get someone be excited about it. And there are enough products in the history that were good but got rejected, just not because the product was bad. Investors can't read minds, and you're from that person. And what is the business model? Now, you are not owning your house in Airbnb and you're only giving a service. So what is the commission? You can say, okay, if we get this amount of customers into this many places and get this percent of discount, then we can make this much money. So your business model and your market adoption, this means different markets that you could cater to, not just tourists, but maybe crowd who are coming for events like Tomorrowland, Formula One, different partnerships that you could capture so that you could get more sales. So how you could adopt the market, and who is your competition? You may not be the only one. Maybe there are different competitors, maybe different industries that are competing with your industry. So all that are important. And lastly, how are you going to compete with them? What is your competitive advantage to compete with them? So let's quickly look at the Airbnb presentation just for you to visualize what it meant. And then let's move into the financing aspect of it. While we are at it, any Formula One fans here? Just because I mentioned it. Any Formula One fans? No, none? Okay, so you will take a while to respond. Let me know. Huge fan, by the way. And tomorrow we have the championship battle. So last one, and was pretty excited about it. So the presentation Airbnb pitch deck they did, let's just quickly look at that. Not that you have to do exactly this, but this is sort of thing that you can draw inspiration from. So they first had the problem. That is the problem that they're trying to cater. We discussed this. Solution, market validation, this many houses, this many things are being listed. So there's a potential for us to operate. This is the total market that we can capture. What is your product? Very simply, not paragraphs and paragraphs, just show the product, what it is, done. What is your business model? How much you can make out of what kind of a fee? What is your market adoption? How you're going to get new customers? What is your competition? Ideally show in a graph so that you can show how you are better than everyone else. And also what is your competitive advantage and why you are the best at what you do. Just want to show that how you can do it in a visually appealing way. Okay, we have one Formula One fan, which is good to see. So this is the pitch deck, and just want to show you how you can do it in a much more visually appealing way without trying to type document hours and hours of paragraphs of proposal documents, which people really don't read anymore, which is a thing of the past. Right now, this is the type of thing you would need if you want to address an investor or a partner. Last bit, how you could get funding. So by the way, are we all clear up to now about what the pitch deck is and the entire concept of a business plan? Are we all clear, guys? Okay. No, so apu gamang, yes. Well done. Okay. So guys, about startup funding and
recording in progress,
and who would pay you for that? And these figures vary. So one might tell this first stage you can only get up to 1 million. You might other one say up to 5 million. So these figures you can Google. Just know this concept exists, that there are different values that you can arrive at. And I will give you a sample that is from this university published report. But in no way this means that just because say we get 1 million in one stage doesn't mean you can't get 5 million if your product is superior. These are average figures, mean figures. The statistics people will know. In no way this is either the mode figure or the min max figures. So just for your reference, know that there's something called pre-seed funding. Know that there's something called Series A and do your own research. Depending on your need, you might get different values. So one of the first stage you can have is pre-seed. This is where you just have a minimal viable product. Software engineers might know. In Agile, you do MVP, so minimal viable product. And this is just a concept of prototype and it's not really business ready. And why you need it is for hiring. The money is needed for hiring because you need to develop it and start going to the market. And typically the amount of investment could anything be from $10,000 to $1 million. In Sri Lanka, it is could be different. Could be, so when you come to Sri Lanka, just don't multiply it by 202 and say, okay, I want 202 up to 200 million rupees, which is not the case. But these are rough figures. In Sri Lankan context also, it is not very much different, especially if you are into a tech startup, because tech startups are moving into it has a global scale. So in that case, these figures are more or less the same. But if it is a startup of other place, you might want to talk to people in your industry and get the veteran opinion as to how much you can get in the first round. And then we have a Series A. This is where you have launched a product. There's some revenue. You're getting some money into the company. And you need money for development aspects of brand, to do marketing, to make people aware. And typically it could be around in and out of 10 million US dollars for this round. Then we have Series B. And this is where the company has started growing and you need capital to keep hiring, to expand, to go to different places, to make people more aware, to go beyond just your city, especially for tech startups, and could be anything from 15 to 25 million. And then we have Series C, which is for large scale expansions. You do well in Sri Lanka, now you want to go to India. This is for acquiring a different platform. Say you want to do a education platform in Sri Lanka, now you go to India, you have money, you want to acquire something, then you might get money out of Series C and could be around 50 million US dollars. And you can go up to Series Z and keep naming. I think after that it's Series AA. So you can keep going, but most of the time after like Series F, you would go to an IPO, initial public offering, and list your company. So just know that this is how the startup funding works. And these are typical figures and what you should be looking at. But depending on your need, these values may differ. And who would give you money? Initially, you would get FF, friends, family, and return, because people who think that you will do well, just you give money, and company you might just vanish with the money. So you call them fools. But but there are smart angel investors and venture capitalists. Why is the difference? A large amount of money for lesser amount of capital because they want to really help you, and also for as a sort of hedging than return. Whereas venture capitalists are a bit sharky, they would get a higher chunk for a lesser amount. But angels could also do the same thing. I mean, there are, right, devils, angels, and there are two angel types. So similarly, angels, the most difference is that venture capitalists are usually institutions and angels are usually individuals, but it can be used interchangeably. Crowdfunding, this is a cool aspect that has been possible due to the internet. If you don't want to give too much money, you can just do a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter campaign and get money from the public without having an IPO work. And, maybe they give $10 to name a design after their name. So fun stuff, what we call crowdfunding. And then we have startup programs, accelerators and incubators that might take you, train you, give you the mentorship, give you the clients needed, give you the connections to keep going. And lastly, we have the banks and the government support. I'm a bit skeptical on that because all above ones, we would get smart money. What is smart money? Money that you can also get with advice. So banks and government, not my favorite type of thing, to be very honest, but it is my personal sentiment. And if you think that a bank would help you better with a lower interest rate, by all means. And there are sometimes special government schemes that would help you, small businesses. So that might also help as well, especially if you're not into a tech product and a typical, very conventional, saturated market. Government SME support could be better than any of the other above mentioned ones. So be careful, know what is your industry, know what are the programs in your industry, and pick what would suit your need best. But at the same time, keep looking in the industry so that you wouldn't, but just, use these values and figures and data to know something like this exists for you to build your research on. Moving on, last bit, set of KPIs that you must know. So we mentioned that you need to know about market validation and market size if you want to be a joke. No offense, being very honest. Similarly, you also need to know these KPIs, these values, if you want to be taken seriously, because if someone asks you what is the CLC, lifetime CLV of your value of your company, you can't look up and down and say, I don't know. So these are very important, very prominent figures that people might ask. You say you move into Lyft, you meet Mr. Damika Pereira, and you saying, okay, I have this amazing business, I want you to invest. He asks you, okay, what is your revenue? What is your gross profit margin? What is the return on investment? What is the customer lifetime value? You need to know these values, and this is the list of very important KPIs, but in no way this is limited. This is an exhaustive list once again, but these are very important things that you must know if you want to be taken seriously. And if you watch episodes of Shark Tank, you would see people getting these questions thrown at them. So first thing, what is CLV, customer lifetime value? How much does your customer really bring to you? Say throughout your lifetime, you pay $5, you get $5 and the customer stays for 12 months, then you get $60 through their lifetime value. Your customer. So what is the total value your customer bring to your organization? Then customer acquisition cost. Customers don't come at free. You need to do marketing. You need to measure it. Now, probably Shawn may have covered in the previous one about measuring these metrics when you do a social media campaign. And I hope he has, but nonetheless, CAC, customer acquisition cost, is you would do $1,000 campaign. And if you just got, say, 5 customers who just paid $60 into $300, there's no point. So you need to measure the value, measure how much you are putting into the campaigns. And with CAC, you can know how much you're spending to get your customer acquisition cost right. And then we have the CLV over CAC ratio. What it means is that for every dollar invested or every rupee, I'm not a big fan of the rupee right now. It's just personal reasons. For personal reasons, for every dollar invested, how much return are you getting in customers? Say you spend $2, and every $2 you invest, you get the customer who brings $5 in return. Then you have this ratio 2.5, which means that every dollar you invest, you get 2.5 times of that as a return. A very important figure. Please don't go into a meeting without that, because this is a very, very important CA ratio that you get asked, especially as a startup, especially as a service business, when you go into a meeting. And then we have churn rate or retention. So these are fancy words that the startup world use. What it means is that, say you get, you face 20% customer growth in the past month, but 30% has left. So your actual growth is minus 10%. And what churn rate says is that 30% captures how many customers are canceling your subscription, or other way around, the flip side would be the inverse of that would be retention. How many customers are you retaining is also an important aspect that you need to say. If you're saying that, okay, I spent CLVC, the ratio getting, okay, you're getting a new customer for every dollar invested, but they leave next month, then pretty much there won't be point. So you need to know what is the churn rate as well. And churn rate is like death, and this is a common phrase that is used. It's like death. It's like cancer for organizations. If too many people cancel the subscription. And then we have what you call burn rate. Again, a fancy term. What it means is that how much money are you spending average from your investment. So you get a $1 million investment dollars, and you spend 100,000 a month. Your burn rate is $100,000 a month, which is pretty much just 10 burn rate of 100,000 a month. How much you spend monthly, and what is runaway is how much money do you have before you run out of money. So you get $1 million, you spend 100,000 for you to know, and just take a screenshot if you want, and know that these are the typical ratios that you need to know. And there's also another set of 5 or 6 ratios that you must know if you want to pitch an investor. So moving on, MRR, monthly recurring revenue. Say your Netflix, how much revenue that you will get next week, next month as well. Like the word says, monthly recurring revenue. And cash flow, this is the actual cash flow. Okay, how much you spend physically, actual cash, and how much you're getting inflow, and the difference would be the net cash flow. This is in absolute cash flow terms. And then you have what you call revenue, which is the income you get, but it is not the cash flow, the accounting revenue. So in case you don't have an accounting background, just know that accounting revenue is a bit different from cash flows. One of the key differences between cash flows is the actual money that you take and give, whereas revenue you sell for, say, you do a 1-year subscription, but it's paid monthly. So revenue, you can only say you sell $120 of monthly subscription, yearly subscription, but it's paid monthly. So revenue would be $12, but cash flow, it would be $120. So if you don't know accounting, just search Google what is the difference between revenue and cash flow. So need to know your revenue, because revenue is what you will be preparing your accounts on. And similarly, the net income. So again, accounting revenue minus the expenses, what you would have. A return on investment, what you have invested upon, and what is the return you get. If you have invested $1 million and you're getting $10,000, there is, it's 0.01%, right? 1% return. So you wouldn't want a 1% return, and you can just put it into a, USDT stake account and get 9% return. So you need to be careful about this aspect as well. And one of the industry insights I can tell you is that most of the SOEs, state-owned enterprises, huge asset base, but not much of a return, even though they make a profit. So return on investment is very important for you to know that for the investor, because at the end of the day, for every dollar invested, how much am I getting back is an important metric that you need to consider. And last metric, what is the monthly growth? When you start, it could be double digits, say 20%, but with time it grows. It is a inverted exponential curve. Yeah, inverted L curve. Well, then it starts at the top and it flatters eventually. So it's sort of like the golden the curve that you have for golden rule of information. So similar to that, it would start with double digits and go down, flatten out. So what is your monthly revenue growth is also important. So if you, as should you approach investor midterm and they want to get something out of you, they would ask you what is revenue growth, and you need to know that. So let's quickly recap, because you all had a STEM background and this might be the first time you're capturing it. And to be very fair, let's quickly capture that again. So what is CLV? The value that your customer brings to your organization. What is CAC? How much you spend to get that customer. The ratio of spending and getting this value would say, okay, 1% for every dollar invested, or every rupee invested, how much you're getting in return. Churn rate is how many people are leaving. Retaining is like the word say, how many people are staying as a percentage. Burn rate is how much you are spending monthly, and runaway is how many months do you have till you burn out all your cash you have in your investment. And what happens after that? Either you go bankrupt, you do a new funding round. And what is MRR? How much of money that sort of quote unquote guaranteed that you would get next month. Cash flow in absolute terms, how much cash that you would get and how much cash you would pay out. Revenue, what is the actual revenue that you would get as an accounting revenue. Net income, revenue minus expenses, the profit that you would make. And ROI, the profit over total investment that you would have as a percentage of total investment. And one of the important aspects if you want to reach an investor. And monthly growth, what is your growth of the organization, which starts with double digits and would flatten out eventually in about 2 to 3 years. So with that, we are done with the financials, and basic financial advice is manage this right. And when you look at these KPIs as description in Google, you would you'd understand what these are in more detail and also how to manage them. But overall, I just wanted to introduce you these important KPIs that you would be asked on in any interview or any meeting with a proper investor/partner. So let's move into this last thing about important qualities that you need to have. And I will tell you why we discussed that. And we can finish in 2 hours, very democratic and very, respecting each other's time. But are we very clear on what are the KPIs, what is the financial plan, how you can get an investment, and why these aspects are important? Are we clear, guys, so far? All good? If you don't have a finance background, it might be a bit new to you. I'm very confident that you can understand it, but it might be the first time you are seeing it. If so, take a screenshot and read it out later. But I hope you understood that there is a concept like this exists, and that you need to measure everything you do in a startup if you want to succeed. So we are getting a few yeses. Sir, for burn rate, is invest also include for that? Yes, I assume that your question is the investment money is also included when you are calculating the burn rate? Yes, that is the money that you have at the start anyway. So that is what you would spend anyway. So the answer is yes. The investment money, what you spend also will be calculated, and that is why the investor would want to know about it. But should you get, if you make a profit, then you can consider that as well against your reserves what you have. But yes, investment figure will be considered, and most likely that would only be the one anyway at the beginning of your startup. Good question, MP 130. No problem, you're welcome. Good question. All right, now let's talk about qualities and finish the presentation / lecture / workshop in class. So why I wanted to cover qualities? Well, we live in a culture that is, how can I put it, oppressive in a country, and a culture that is very oppressive about, well, being ourselves, right? And by the way, this has nothing to do with business or finance. It's just a very human conversation. We live in a country that is pretty oppressed, and it's not just Sri Lanka. And Asian culture is like that. You can't correct. I mean, one example would be, should your parents do a mistake and you try to correct them back, you would be yelled at saying, don't talk back at them. And that is the type of culture that we all are being in. I mean, even if you go to a government school, I went to one, you can't correct a principle, you can't correct a defect, and that is the type of culture that we are living in. And while you can grow out of that culture, you would realize eventually being in that reserved, shy person culture, while you may be even celebrated for being a good boy or a girl being like that, when you go to the real world, you would be taken as, how can I put it in a nice way? You would not be taken seriously, because we want people who can lead, who can take initiative. And if you don't get the qualities needed to be a leader, you can always be the person who does all the hard work behind the scenes, and some person who doesn't care about rules come and get the credit. And that is the reality. And I'm pretty sure some of you are relating to this example as we speak. And being in a Sri Lankan culture, I also was more or less in a culture like that. And few qualities that I had to develop myself by unlearning some of the wisdom that the society says, and also by looking at the people who had been successful. I listed down 5 qualities that I look for when I recruit someone. And really, without these qualities, I mean, really, even if I get the best person in the world in terms of IQ, if they don't have a leadership quality, I might not get them, because it's very hard to deal with them. And similarly, that's nothing wrong with the person. And I genuinely tell the person, this is the issue, you are an asset for the country, but you need to improve this skill so that you could be a person who can add value using your skill. So similarly, these are few qualities that you might not have, or you might not even know you have, or you might not even know that you don't have. Doesn't matter. None of us start with 100. You need to start with 0. You need to start with different part between that. So just know that these qualities could help you to be a good CEO. If you don't have any of them, even you might not have an issue. I mean, people say you need to be a natural speaker, but Elon Musk and even Winston Churchill, who led the country through words, is not a good speaker. So you can develop the qualities eventually, and these are learnable skills. But just know that you need some of these qualities at least to survive, because otherwise the probability of you breaking barriers could be less. Not that you can't. There are enough people, especially in the local culture, because everyone else also come from a culture like that. It could be the case, but typically you might need, especially if you want to compete in a global market like Silicon Valley, you will need some of these qualities. And I listed down the few qualities that I look forward to when I recruit people, and just do your own evaluation. If you don't, just Google how to be a good leader. You will get a set of things. Do that for a year and you would be a one. And it's just that simple. But just know that these qualities are looked at when you want to be hired, at least when I hire people. So one is, you need to be very confident and represent yourself well, and do it fearlessly. So, which means that if you're good at something, don't be like hoping to, Ane, please. I mean, doesn't mean you need to be a mean person. Just be very confident at what you're good at, and be confidently tell that. I mean, when I ask you a question right now, I'm not judging you, or maybe you were far away from your keyboard, or you were listening while you were sleeping, you don't have the access to keyboard and you're listening from the phone, all of that. But in case you didn't answer because you could be judged at, probably something that you wanted to improve if you want to be a proper CEO. Because when you are a business owner, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your investors, you're representing your company, people who have trusted you on. And you need to be confident to tell, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what we are good at, and give this, and we would do it better than the competition. So do it fearlessly slow, but don't be a bully. You need to accept your mistakes as well. If you are someone who can't accept your mistakes, it might work out in the short term, but long term, people won't trust you. So accept your mistakes, be humble. At the same time, be confident. And I hope when I say be confident and accept your mistakes, I hope you're getting the picture that I'm not telling you to be arrogant. Arrogant people don't survive. People just wait to shoot them down the first chance they get. Be confident, be humble, and don't underrepresent yourself well. Someone asks what you're good at, tell it fiercely so. And second point, be resilient, be patient, and be optimistic. What is resilience? When things go wrong, keep doing. When you start a business, you won't get that private jet most people talk about for 5, 6, and maybe 10 years. So be very resilient, love what you do, and keep doing it when things go wrong. And you would see the last quote that I had put, and you will understand why being resilient is way more important than any other skill. Because being resilient is important, and also have patience. You can't go to a gym, and one of the best examples that I saw from, I think, Simon Sinek, the one person who talks nice things about Generation Z, being sarcastic. What he says is that you can't go to the gym, come 2 days and see if you had made progress. It is not the case. So you need to have patience and have faith in the process should you want to do it, especially if you are the first one from the family, because you might not have enough examples to see results. So, but you need to have faith in yourself and get mentors who can help you in those scenarios, and be optimistic. Now, people talk about positivity on Instagram, all the gurus, happiness gurus, self-proclaimed happiness gurus, no offense if they're having fun with that. But positivity is different from optimism. Positivity is saying, okay, this economy is the best, LKR is the best currency in the world. So that, sugarcoating the reality, whereas optimism is, okay, if we do these things right, economy might recover, and which is the case. I mean, Sri Lanka has, South Asian culture has just a practical point, a lot of gold with us. So if you are willing to sell your gold in terms of rupees and rupee won't depreciate, country can recover, like what South Korea did. So optimism is having that faith. I don't know if that can happen in Sri Lanka, but have optimism that things will work out for you. Because this is one thing that I had to improve myself. When I was in uni, I did 7 computer science. I did requirement gathering to doing the SRS, developing testing, to presenting it, and to get the team working point, the 5 points. So which worked out for me pretty well to know the entire thing end to end. But I wasn't a really good team player back then. But team playing ability is very important if you want to do a startup, because that's your, I mean, you can't do everything yourself. Mark Zuckerberg had Sheryl Sandberg, Steve Jobs had Dave Wozniak and his team, and so on. So you need to be a good team player. You need to be able to step up. Now, if I ask one of you who can volunteer to, I don't know, do a mock business presentation sometime, you need to be able to step up, volunteer, and do that. You might make mistakes. That's okay. We learn from mistakes, but be able to step up and lead. And also need to have an amazing problem solving ability and critical thinking. I think if you had been into one of the McKinsey's webinars, which they favor UOC a lot, you might have understood why it's very important, because we have enough people who can see problems, dollar all that. But will you be someone who can solve problems? A lot of people can see problems and dwell a lot about it and talk gossip, but are you someone who can think straight, think structurally, and solve problems? And being an entrepreneur is daily solving problems, and that is something that I really, really love about it. You can't expect the same thing second day. You solve something here, something else has gone wrong. So you need to be a problem solver if you want to be a good CEO, startup CEO. And lastly, love what you do, because do what you are happy. If you do it for the money, yeah, you might be happy, you might get money, and if you're smart, but do what you love, because, and this is a very human point. So I graduated, if you know my background, just Google me up. Graduated at 18, did CIMA at 19, but what I really enjoy is not really the qualification or the trophies, but the process I got there, meeting people, working smart, prioritizing things based on the Pareto rule, all that. That is what I've had fun with, and hanging out, meeting people, all that. So whatever you do something startup, or even if you don't do a startup and work somewhere, do something that you can be happy about. Because when you are, so based on the conversation that I have had with people who are close to the mature age, 60s, 70s, they don't care if you got that project A, or if your revenue gross profit margin for the next month was 20%, but what they care is the memories that you make. It doesn't mean be distracted or get wasted. I in no way mention that, but have fun in what you do, so that you would look forward to doing it, and you would, even if things don't go wrong, right, you would love what you do and you would get started right away. And that is a key differentiator, once again, that would help you to be resilient. that, whatever you want, any help, with enough
Recording in
time and
progress.
perseverance, just about anything is doable. And this is something that I said, it's kind of weird to quote myself, but I really wanted to quote that. Was something I said in one of the conventions, that startup events that we did for students. We got some amazing applications, and what I said was, okay, not everyone can be a winner. There's only one winner, but keep doing what you do, and with enough time and perseverance, which means resilience in synonym, perseverance, you can do just about anything. That is proven. That is the case. If you look at any success story of Elon Musk to failing 4 times continuously, to Steve Jobs coming back after next failing, all that is about perseverance and time. You can't be successful overnight unless you buy some, I don't know, Bitcoin and it goes up next day. And I don't know how many of you can do that, but this is a proven process. A lot has been successful. I mean, if you look at the Forbes billionaires list, all top 10 now, all of the people on the top are a higher percentage of people are tech CEOs. Do that, have fun, but know that it won't happen overnight. And remember that with enough time and perseverance, just about anything is doable. With that, I'm done, and over to you, Hassan, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. And what a way to end the session. And above all, what a well-detailed session. Like, actually, even I enjoyed the session because it, like, I had so many questions when I was watching Shark Tank, especially. They use numbers, they ask different questions, and I think I got most of the answers today for those questions as well. I think it's a well-detailed session. And before moving into the Q&A session, I want to give a quick reminder. This is the way to how to grab your certificate. In order to receive a certificate, you must have participated this second and third workshops conducted by us, and you need to fill the answers for 3 short questions in the Google form that we're going to put right now. And so you have to answer it, and we will then give you this valuable certificate. And you can include that in your CVs as well. So it's time to move into the Q&A session. I'm sure like so many spectators have questions to ask from you, Mr. Tuhan. And the first question I'm having is, we all know that Sri Lankan government and how the rules and regulation changes, the dollar question, there are so many questions, especially when a person starting up a business. This is one of the major questions, the help they get from the government. So many people do not go for the don't go for the startup. They move into jobs instead of going for a startup. So what they should do, how should they come up with a plan to cope up with the job and the business?
Sure. I think a very practical question, and kudos to the person who asked the question. I think even though you might not have asked the question, I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience had that question looking at Sri Lankan news. I mean, if you don't have the question, you have a problem. So what can I tell you is that, well, first thing is, one, you need to, for the first part of the question about how can you manage time with work and a startup if you're doing both, well, that is something that you need to be committed to, and you need to be working 100 hours a year, 100 hours a week from 2014 to present. And so this week I took a bit of a break for staycation-ish because we had finished a few projects. But again, from next week onwards, I will be working 100 hours a week, almost at least 80 hours a week. So you'll have to put that in the morning, in the evening, if you really want to be successful, and find out what you want to do. So maybe you'll have to cut out a Friday night with friends to maybe change your entire circle of friends who can help you out. So that is important. First aspect is you prioritize, find out a plan that can work out for you. And I had been doing it. I still do that. I do a multiple set of jobs and still do the startup. And a lot of people I know, especially the lecture panel at Wisdom, Aloka might be friends with. we all work while doing the job. So find a way that will work out for you. And for the second question about Sri Lankan government and the economy, well, that is, well, first thing I want to tell you is that it is always about the process. So you're doing it right will spice up your autobiography. So one thing I want to tell is that. Secondly, do a startup in a way that can be scaled in any other country. So should things get bad and you can't stay in Sri Lanka, should it get to be something like Lebanon or Afghanistan, hopefully it won't, because as a country, I don't know, but there are people that I love and care about in Sri Lanka, people and organizations. So I hope it won't get there. But should it get there, have a startup that can be scaled into any country. So should you want to migrate, especially being UOC graduates yourself, not just UOC, even there was a SLIP student, so anyone, you can migrate to any country with that degree. You are the power. So do a startup in a way that can be scaled into any country and have that from the get-go and plan it in a way that you can do so. So that is the advice that I can give you to about planning with contingencies for being in an amazing country like this.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have it's kind of a personal question, but I think it's really valuable. How did you manage? You have said you have done a course, and you are doing lecturers, and you are doing a business as well. So as you mentioned, you told we have to cut the Fridays and everything, but still it's a big hustle. You have to go through a huge hustle. So how do you plan your work, and how to come up with a plan? You have to manage your personal life as well, like your family. So how do you cope up with all the things together while doing all those stuff?
Sure. First thing is, I think I was trained to it when I started my first degree when I was in grade 8. So since then until now, I had been, continuously learning and working. So I was sort of used to it. But at the same time, it is not just work, right? So the night before my O-level exams, I was at a Christmas party dancing with friends. So it doesn't mean that I'm working all the time, just that you need to align your priorities in a way what would give the most benefit in the long term. So that is the first thing, align your priorities and do so decisively. And also have fun, because if you had read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Shawn Covey, and he says that production is important, but production capacity, improving that is just as important. So have fun, go out with your friends, have a staycation, date, or do all that, but do so in a way that doesn't distract you and motivates you, fuels you to keep doing it. So all the fun that you have will then actually help you to improve. So first thing, know your priorities and analyze it in a way and structure it in a way that will help you. 2, you can't say yes to everything, right? You need to learn to say no. You need to pick what you want, and everything else, learn to say no as well. So you answer your question. So I did my degree and CIMA both simultaneously. And one thing was I was able to cross-apply things. So what I learned in CIMA, I was able to use in my degree. And what I learned about tech in degree, I was able to use for my case study. So it complemented each other. I was also able to, with sort of experience, pick the 20% of things that would give you the 80% of results. That is a statistically accurate principles, Pareto's principle. And maybe not exactly 20-80, but find ways that you could do the least to get you the highest result. And in Sri Lanka, for some reason, we glorify hard work, and hard work is important, no doubt, but it's more important is smart work. So smart way, pick the things that you want to do in a smart way. And after you pick, work as hard as you can to go double down on that. And thirdly, have resources in a way that helps you. So my close set of friends, all are too busy. So even if I want to hang out, they are too busy to hang out. They're too busy working on their own work. People that I want to, so people in your circle, people in your mentors, all those factors, have it in a way that would complement you. And I'm not telling you to give up on your friends in no way, because at the end of the day, it's about who you are, what you have in your life, and friends are important. But just make sure that your friends are not a distraction. And if they are, do be friends with them, help them out, do whatever you can to help them out, but have a set of friends who can improve you as well. Because it's always about complementing each other, and you would be much better off, both you and your friend, by having people who can complement. So choose your friends carefully. And I was very lucky to be at the Gavel Club when I started, since I was 15. And people there really taught me the importance of having friends that can complement your vision. So have people like that. So all your sort of like Porter's Diamond, if you had learned in CIMA, having supported related and supporting industries, have people and resources that can support you to get your vision. And being in a culture like Sri Lanka, that is, I think, very important for you to grow and learn. So 3 things: prioritize, find smart ways to do things and double down on that after you pick. And 3, have things that would support you to do things, complement your vision, have resources and factors that would complement your vision. Back to you, Hassan. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you very much. And there's a small question. Can you explain about B2B and B2C marketing?
Okay. So marketing is not exactly my strong suit. I'm sort of like, not like I'm in any way really close to being Elon Musk, but my way of looking at it is you do a solid product and customers would do the marketing for you. I mean, on Tesla marketing budget, $0. You can say that is because he has a strong social media following in Twitter, which could be the case. But in my take, marketing is better than competitors in a way that people would love your product, so it would scale organically. But if I am to talk about the difference between, or rather how you can approach B2B and B2C, B2B is most about to working with you, whereas B2C, it's more about scale. So you do less stuff, less lower margins. So B2B higher margins, whereas B2C it's lower margins, but do so in a scalable way. So, and really, I'm not the best person to talk about marketing. And this is a question you should have directly Shawn. So I hope you have his details to direct that question to him. But my take is that B2B is more about relationships and more about higher margins and doing it well, as B2C is most about lower margins, but doing it in scale in a profitable way. And obviously doing a solid product stays at the core of being able to market your brand well, which is why Apple gets sold at a premium while Huawei doesn't.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tuan. And with that, with the limited time we have to end the Q&A session, but I know there are so many questions still there. So you can, as Mr. Tuan mentioned, you can like drop him a text without, yeah, keep nagging him. With that, now it's time to check how much you have grasped from this amazing workshop. Now it's test time. As I've mentioned earlier, now we will share the Google document to the Zoom chat. So you have 10 minutes to answer and submit the form. Guys, are you ready? So the test starts now.
Good luck, guys. Shall I leave, Hassan, or do you want me to stay?
Yes, you can leave, Mr. Tuan. And thank you very much for all the detailed explanations. I really enjoyed it. And I think our audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you very much.
No problem. Amazing moderation, Hassan. And thanks a lot for interacting. It's slightly somewhat better than typically what I get in a government institution. So well done. Thanks a lot for interacting, and wish you guys all the best, and look forward to learning from you all and seeing in a presentation, maybe your TED talk about how you all did better, because that is how it works, right? You do better than us, and looking forward to seeing all that in the future. Best of luck, stay safe, and have a good one. Good night, guys.
Thank you very much, and same to you.